Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And so today's quick overview slash biography, inshallah, covers lessons in Islamic history. Durus fi Tarikh al-Islami by the Egyptian scholar Muhammad Al-Khudari Bek Al-Bajuri. He was born in Cairo. He also died in Cairo. He lived plus minus 148 years ago. So he was born in 1872 and he passed away in 1927. So he was alive during the period of the eventual fall of the Ottoman Empire. He was an Azhari scholar, and subhanallah, this work here is a summary of a few of his other books on history. So he's written on the seerah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's written on the history of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, on the Umayyad dynasty, on the Abbasid dynasty. Well, he's taken all of those works there, and then the essence from those works are put into this book here. And he also obviously then adds the Ottoman Empire and the Mamluks, etc., etc. He divides this book here into 47 lessons. And so lesson 16, the Caliphate of Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. Lesson number 30, we're dealing with Al-Mansur, Al-Mustansir Billah, etc. So in 47 lessons, he goes through this entire period up to the age that he lived in. And obviously, especially towards the end, there's much more emphasis on Egypt, as obviously he lived in Egypt. If one looks at the contents page here, so the Arabian Peninsula before the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, history of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Bakr, Umar, then you have here Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an, the rest of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, the Umayyads. He goes through the important events during this period. He goes through each of those Khulafa, each of those rulers, some of them just a brief overview of them. So the Marwanids, Jayid, so the first one, Marwan ibn al-Hakam, and then his son Abdul Malik, and they continue. Then the Umayyads of Spain, the Umayyads of Andalus. Remember, when the Abbasids eventually put an end to the Umayyads of Damascus, that was their capital, then one of them eventually escaped, and that was Abdul Rahman Sakhar Quraysh, and he set up the new Umayyad dynasty in the west, which was in Andalus. So then you have the Abbasids here, mashallah, you can see the whole list of rulers, and the Buwayhids, the Seljuks, the Tulunids, the Fatimids, the Ayyubids, the Mamluks, etc. It goes through all of them, walhamdulillah. It's a very good book, mashallah, also published by Turath Publications. Yes, this is also by Turath Publications. Quite a few books we've reviewed by Turath Publications. It's a good print, mashallah. And it's interesting to note, subhanallah, that the author, when he talks about and when he discusses the Mamluk rule of Egypt, he mentions that the Mamluk rule of Egypt, it had more bad in it than good. There was more bad and evil in it than of good. And then when he talks about when the Ottomans took over Egypt from the Mamluks, the Ottomans, they preserved the bad and the evil of the Mamluks, and that's what they did, and they continued. They didn't even implement the good of the Mamluks. Rather, they just preserved the bad. So he has a scathing review and attack on the Ottomans, and also with regards to the Mamluks. He wasn't too pleased with their rule of Egypt. And in fact, when Napoleon Bonaparte eventually invaded Egypt, it seems that Shaykh Muhammad Khudari Bek and others, they welcomed the French. They felt that this was an escape from the oppression that they were experiencing at that time. So ala kulli hal, that's important to note, and it's interesting to note that sometimes we have this romanticized version of history, and this is a bit more realistic, insha'Allah. In our history, we have the good, the bad, and we also have the ugly. Allahumma musta'an. Ya Abdullah, Ya Amat Allah, we are the Ummah of Iqra, and so continue reading. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.